We are live. We are live. Things just keep happening and happening and happening. Holy smokes. We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugard. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. If you don't like our content, hit the thumbs down button. And if you want to donate to this channel, please hit the $sign, put a comment in, and we'll get you super chat as quick as possible. Welcome in. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. Man, we have got a stacked show. We have got a stacked show tonight. I've got notes here. I might not even get to the Brett McMurphy piece about how the bowl games, the bowl tie-ins for the Pac-12, the 10 schools that left the Pac-12, those bowl tie-ins might remain for those 10 schools. Holy smokes. Confusion all over the place. In other words, we'll try to get to it. We will try to get to it. Man, it's going to be it's going to be like algebra to try to figure out who is going where, what bowl game by the end of the season. Holy smokes. George Kliavkoff, we hardly knew you. We hardly knew you. They are in the start of a separation between George Kliavkoff and the Pac-12. Ross Dellinger put out a tweet, the Pac-12 retains the spot on both the College Football Playoff Management Committee commissioners and the College Football Playoff Board of Managers presidents until the end of CFP's current contract through 2025. Pac-12 has 2 years to rebuild and reach the 8-school minimum before NCAA no longer recognizes it as an FBS conference. Right there, right? We talked about it. The 8-school minimum. We're not talking about NCAA bylaws. We're talking about the college football playoff minimum. The management, the managers. So look, there is going to be a realignment wave here. Whether the ACC implodes and they bring on Washington State and Oregon State, or Washington and Oregon State brings on 6 Mountain West school members, or a Frankenstein conference, take some of the Mountain West schools, maybe pick off a couple of the AAC schools, use that $200 million war chest. I don't know. There is a whole bunch just in that alone. Just in that alone. And then Ross Dellinger goes on to say, as its statement indicated, the Pac-12 is parting ways with George Kliavkoff in a negotiated settlement of its contract. So the deputy commissioner, Teresa Gold, is being targeted as his replacement. Now, is this going to be, if they do merge or bring on some of the Mountain West schools, does Gloria Navarez becomes the commissioner of the new Pac-8, Pac-10, whatever it's going to be? So much to decide just on that story alone. Just on that story alone. Okay, so we've got so much to cover. The college football playoff. The media deal. For $1.3 billion. At the very low end of the range. That was reported that it could be. In fact, when that $1.3 million figure came out a month ago, 2 months ago, we were told, it's probably going to be more than that. No, it's not. $1.3 million and ESPN owns all the rights. Yeah, they could sublicense a game or two. I got to tell you, I love, as you all know, I love the college football playoff expansion. I love the 12 teams. I'm going to love the 5+7. Kirk Schultz, get off. You've got to let this happen. I'm going to love the 5+7 personally. So I love the playoff structure. But having all the games owned by one media company, not good. Not good at all. And the $1.3 billion is at the low end. What does that mean? What does that mean? We're going to be going through the article from The Athletic. Still a lot of money. Still a big increase. At the... If you back of the napkin math, okay? In the current media contract, the current one, each Power 5 conference team was getting about $6 million. And this, if you take 80%, you lop it off the top, 80% of the $1.3 billion, you get around a little bit more than $19 million per school. More than triple the revenue. Now, it could be a little bit more because SMU is taking a partial. We don't know what Washington State and Oregon State are going to do. So maybe it's 20 million. Maybe it's a little bit more than 20 million per school. And then we don't know the payouts between the ACC, the Big 12, versus the SEC and the Big 10. As we've been talking about it for weeks, for months here at Peek Around the Corner. We always thought that the Power 2 would push their chips in the middle of the table, not to cut off playoff access, but to get a little bit more distribution money. That's where it sounds like it's going. We're going to be going through the Athletic article. And then we're going to be going through the Yahoo Sports article from Ross Dellinger. And then we're going to be talking about movement in the Holy Smokes Theater ACC Drama. We broke it in our early peak episode this morning. If you're a member, there's the video out there you can watch. If you're not a member, you're getting the information now at the end of the monologue. I got to tell you something, though. We got on a pretty good roll here at Peek Around the Corner. Been working hard. We did great on the Jed Fish to Washington story. We were out in front on that. We did great on the Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. The whole PJ Fleck thing. We thought he was going to be named. We told you the backdrop on that. Dennis Dodd says he was UCLA's top target, but the deal didn't get done for whatever reason. We just believe that UCLA did not have the money to get a Tony White, a PJ Fleck at this current time for UCLA. But again, here at Peek Around the Corner, we have to take yet another L, another loss. I do not like it. I do not like it. I do not like it. But transparency is everything. There was a cloaking going on in the Holy Smokes Theater. And it's been going on for some time, and we didn't have a clue. We did not have a clue. But now we do. Now we do. And I can't tell you the details, the backdrop of this. But, man, we had a... There was... When we work with people, we are unattached here. We are the rebel outposts of all college football YouTube channels and all college football. But we do work with other people. I think that's become obvious. We had to trade a lot of bones in on this. We invested a lot of time in other stories. We finally got something we never had before. And it's not an excuse on our previous L. This is another L because we did not know. And the movement in the Holy Smokes Theater is going to tell you the story. Okay, so we're going to get that to the back end of the monologue. We'll get to it as soon as we can. It's a stack show. We're going to be on for quite a long time this evening. We have a Brett McMurphy article that is incredibly interesting when it comes to bowl tie-ins. We're going to have to possibly push that off to tomorrow. Stephen McNeely, thank you so much, sir, for your incredible generosity. Once again, you, sir, are Cloak and Dagger Knighted, and Kyle Visser, Cornelius Green, Danielle BR 7062, and two Mazda are hereby Cloak and Dagger Knighted. Thank you so much, Stephen McNeely, for incredible generosity once again. And yes, every time I see your avatar, every time I see that avatar, Cloak and Dagger, go get your Cloak and Dagger. We got cloaked. The cloaking worked. Go get your Cloak and Dagger in the description, link in the description. We got fooled here at Peek Around the Corner. We got fooled. But not anymore. Now that we're on to it. Now that we're on to it, I know I'm teasing the story, but for early peak members, you already got the story if you're a member already. But now that we're on to the story, we're going to be focusing like a laser beam on two ACC schools that have been working closer together than we didn't have a clue. So shame on us at Peek Around the Corner. But now we are on to it. So things, I guess maybe I can see clearly now the rain is gone type of situation here. I understand more why Clemson has completely been silent. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it once again, Stephen McNeely. And I want to thank everybody who's come into the chat. Before we get to it, we've got a stack show. Hagen is in the house. Early Peak member Hamasuro is in the house. Kirk Bender, holy smokes. Buckshot Kid is in the house. JD Turtle, the Terrapin. Good evening, Godfather. Good evening to you, sir. Appreciate you coming on in. Canes, all day. We need to be in the center of the stage. Jeff Olson, the Evil Badger, is in the house. Expedition Greg. John Bennett, Kenneth Evans. UCLA has a new coach, Deshaun Foster. I remember watching him being a running back for UCLA. Had a really good senior season. I remember that. I remember that. He had a real good senior season for the Bruins. He was a load. He kept getting better and better. The last year, he blossomed. That was a long time ago, but I'm an old man. I do remember Deshaun Foster. Kenneth Evans, thanks for coming on in. Sheep and Wolves Clothing. Love the early peak episode today. We're going to be talking about that. The back end of the monologue. We got fooled here at Peek Around the Corner. We take another L at Peek Around the Corner. So we're going to start off. We're going to talk about it, but at the back end, Jimmy's in the house. Matt Neeson is in the house. Anthony Carlson is in the house. Cornelius Green, who's just became an early peak member. Mooncat is in the house. Mr. Buckeye is in the house. Tyler Brown. Greg should be their head coach. I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Brown. First of all, I'm not qualified. Second of all, I'm not very bright. Third of all, not a whole lot of people like me at the University of Minnesota. I love them, but they don't like me. And good reason, because we gave everybody the heads up on what possibly could happen and all that stuff. Again, people do not like us anywhere. Tyler Brown. I could not be a head coach anywhere. I could not run for office anywhere. I'm very fortunate that anybody shows up to our show, to be quite honest. Salt of the Earth is in the house. Mr. Colorado Buffalo, Richard L. The win total on Colorado for the Big 12, 5.5. 5.5. A little bit more confidence with Colorado in year 2 of Deion Sanders. Charlie Atwood is in the house. Gold Black 45 is in the house. Holy smokes. College Football Playoff Edits is in. Ryan Brooks is in. Klikoff should be fired for cause. Stopping by real quick. I'm glad you came in at all. CFB Plus. I appreciate you coming in, checking in on us. Go, Becky, go Huskies. I hear ESPN has strengthened their hold on the playoffs. They're Disney owned. They're making up for that Steamboat Willie money they're losing. Becky, go Husky. Congratulations on your show last night. Becky, go Huskies. Big West Mafia with Sergeant Pickles, Nathan Brown, and everybody. Great show. Congratulations. The Becky, go Huskies. Check out that show. Go check out that show. Even during this show, if they're on live. I don't know if they're on live tonight. But if they're on, go on. I do not I encourage everybody to go watch that show and every other show out there in college football. Wild Ute, Godfather, do you still a great gold rush happening? Seeing that college football contract is only, it is still, great question. It is still the great gold rush. I thought it was going to be more. But I did a little bit of math. It's going to be way off, Wild Ute. We do not, I've got it at, if you take 80%, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about my numbers. My numbers are probably completely off. If everybody is smarter than me in the chat room, go put 80% of 1.3 billion, whatever 80% of 1.3 billion is, and then go take, I don't know what number we're going to use because of the SMU, Washington State, Oregon State situation. Go take the number 68. That's probably going to be inaccurate. Go take 68, divide it into whatever number you got from 80% of 1.3 billion. Whatever that number is, that's your Power 4 conference payout, and we're going to be way off on that. Whatever the number that is, compare it to the $6 million each Power Conference school basically gets now. Now, go take 20% of that $1.3 billion and divide that among whatever 68 is minus 134, whatever that number is. Whatever. Figure it out. Put the numbers down in the chat room. I am not smart enough. I am not smart enough. It's 15 million per team. Well, Coos Corner is a lot smarter than I am. 15 million per team. Okay. So that is not even 3 times. Yeah, that makes sense because the current deal is about 475 million, 465. Each power school gets 6 million. So 1.3 is a little less than 3 times 15 million. Yeah, that makes sense, Coos Corner. Your West Virginia math is a lot better than Minnesota math any day of the year. Yeah. Still a gold rush, but I'm disappointed. I got to tell you, I'm disappointed. I'm wondering when exactly did the Power 4 schools start projecting this number into their budgets? It seems like they've known it for a few months at least. Also, does this affect the battle next week in Dallas, Texas? Next week, Dallas, Texas, they're all meeting again. The 10 commissioners, Notre Dame, they're all meeting again, right? To figure out playoff distribution, money, access, and structure. We've got the structure in place, but we're talking about 2026 and beyond. Does this 1.3 billion coming in pretty low for the expected range? Does that affect the 80%, 20% between the Power 4 conferences and the G5 schools? Does that mean it's going to be more like 85-15? Does that mean the Power 4 schools push a little bit harder for more percentage of the entire package? I don't know. I'm not sure. Next week is an incredibly important week in college football. Let me get through thanking everybody. Illini Ted is in the house. Becky Go Huskies confirms West Virginia's math. So Washington and West Virginia's math is better than Minnesota math. Nitwit is in the house. Joe Z, you got that right. Jacino is in the house. is in the house. Excuse me. Okay, so let's get to the stories here because we got to get to the Holy Smokes Theater. We got to walk in with a popcorn is a popping. So we got to get in there. First of all, we've got a major story that we're just talking about in the chat room. We're going to go through this real quick. There's a link in the description. You can read the whole article. College football playoff, ESPN agreed to 6-year extension worth $1.3 billion per year. Sources, the athletic staff, Andrew Michon, Nicole Auerbach, Stuart Mandel, and Chris Vanini. ESPN and the college football playoff are in agreement on a 6-year, $7.8 billion extension that will make the network the home of the 12-team tournament through 31 and 32. Sources briefed on the deal told The Athletic the full contract's completion is still contingent on CFP leaders finalizing details of the expanded format in the wake of the implosion of the Pac-12. The CFP's management, in other words, Kirk Schultz, get on board. Get on board, or this whole thing is going to blow up on you. The whole thing is going to blow up on you. Get on board. The CFP's management committee and board of managers have meetings scheduled for next week and continue to work through the complicated process of settling their outstanding issues. The ESPN deal will not be ratified until the commissioners and presidents vote on the structure and financials of the expanded CFP. In other words, if it's going to remain 12 teams, we'll talk about was there a clause built into this contract and where the commissioners will have the ability, the power. Could they pivot? Could they be nimble enough to pivot towards a 16-team playoff without having to go through all the machinations with ESPN? Remember a couple weeks ago it was reported that this is what the commissioners were gunning for, the ability, the flexibility, the power to make their own decision if they wanted to expand to 16, that ESPN would just stamp the approval of it. They wanted this power. I haven't read that in anything that I've seen so far today in regards to this reports of today. The ESPN deal will not be ratified until the commissioners' presidents vote on the structure, financials of the expanded CFP. ESPN Senior Vice President of Communication, Playoff Executive Director, both declined to comment. ESPN has 2 years remaining on its current deal, which carries an average payment of $608 million per year. It includes the CFP semifinals championship plus the other 4 New Year's 6 bowl games. The $608 million includes the New Year's 6 bowl games. The playoffs payout is about 400 and some million out of that. 470, something like that. The 6-year extension will cost $1.3 billion per year, the price at which an ESPN news story previously reported the network was discussing a new deal with CFP. Over the final 2 years of its current agreement, ESPN holds the rights to the new set of first-round games held at on-campus sites, in addition to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and championship games. It is not yet known what the fee of the first-round games will be for the next 2 seasons. The quarterfinals will be played at the current New Year's 6 bowls, whose rights were already owned by ESPN. So when it gets down to the final 8, those are going to be your New Year's 6 bowl games. The first round, 5 against 12, 6 against 11, 7 against 10, 8 versus 9. Those games, those 4 games, first round of the playoffs are going to be played at the home campus of the higher seed. Over the course of the contract, ESPN will have the ability to sublicense games, meaning another network or digital player could air playoff games, but it would be at Disney's own ESPN's discretion. I do not like that. The deal would give ESPN control over nearly all Division I college sports championships outside of the men's basketball tournament which is televised by CBS, TNT, and their sister networks and platforms through 2032. The college football playoffs current contract with ESPN is set to run through 25 and 26 season, and any major changes to it in terms require unanimous support. And again, we've talked about this. Kirk Schultz, I'm talking to you. To get this pushed through, to get it done, everybody's waiting on you, Kirk Schultz. After a 4-person subcommittee recommended the 12-team format in June 21, it took more than 2 years of stop and start negotiations amid conference realignment to get unanimous approval from the CFP Board of Managers, the group of presidents, the chancellors who oversee the organization. The board originally approved a model that includes the 6 highest-ranked conference champions and the 6th highest-ranked at-large teams. The impending departure of 10 teams from the Pac-12 has led to a push to tweak the model to 5 and 7, 5 conference champions, and 7 at-large. The CFP Management Committee, which is made up of all 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame Jack Swarbrick, has recommended the 5+7 model, but the Board of Managers has not yet approved it. Kirk Schultz. Well, we've got 2 more years on a 12-year cycle, and then an important conversation about the future. That is next week, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be covering that in the next article, Yahoo Sports, Ross Dellinger. Next week, Dallas, Texas. There better be some, we're talking about movement in the Holy Smokes Theater, which we're going to be talking about at the end of the monologue coming up here. There's got to be movement in Dallas, Texas next week. Greg Sankey told The Athletic, we look at the independently. That's not part of what we announced with the advisory group. We're certainly interested in continuing the playoff, but there's work to do. The outstanding issues still to be settled for CFP's new 6-year contract include the ongoing discussions of future governance, revenue distribution, and access. The commissioners are working through all 3 areas and are expected to discuss them at a meeting next week in Dallas. Sources involved in the discussion said. Then we go on to Ross Dellinger's article. We're not going to go through the whole thing. We're not going to go through the whole thing. You guys understand the lay of the land. The battles, we've been talking about it. The great gold rush, we've been talking about it for months. Well, it's here. Next week, there has to be some resolution in all of this, right? Let me show you here the article. What with college sports at key juncture, what does the future of the NCAA and the college football playoff look like? Dallas, within Big 12 headquarters on Tuesday morning, the place is buzzing. Phones are constantly ringing. People are milling between window-lined offices and rows of cubicles. A lobby monitor scrolls through the highlights of each Big 12 member, 4 of which are ranked inside the top 12 in the latest AP basketball poll, and the conference leader, sports entertainment executive turned league commissioner Brett Yormark is pacing through the hallways in a tailored suit and the shiny black shoes while carrying his normal air of confidence. The Big 12 doesn't look or feel like a conference that's being left behind, and that is because Yormark says it isn't. It's not! It's not being left behind. It's not, and it's not going to get shut out of playoff access. Be nice, Greg. Be nice, be kind. Big 12 is not being left behind. We are the number 1 basketball conference in America, he told Yahoo Sports in an interview last week. We're showing up as a conference in places that we haven't been to before, and we're partnering with third parties that no one has even considered. We're facing challenges, but it's not new to me. There's a lot of possibility and opportunity. A joint venture between the Big Ten and the SEC was announced February 2nd. It created a ripple effect in every pond of college athletics. It goes on to say the article, the gap between major conferences and all others have existed for years, if not decades. But the two wealthiest leagues teaming up, well, it could create trouble, right? Not according to Yormark. Not according to Yormark and Phillips. The ACC and Big 12's role. Starting his fourth year as ACC commissioner, Phillips chairs one of the most important groups in college athletics, the twice-a-month gathering of the 5, soon to be 4 commissioners of the major conferences. Phillips says the 4 leagues have been working as closely as he's seen in his time as commissioner. That's why the SEC and the Big Ten's announcement to create a joint advisory board led to a question from many within the industry. I was a little surprised that the ACC and the Big 12 weren't included. That's typically been the MO, said AAC Commissioner Mike Oresco. However, I trust Greg and Tony and what they've said, Phillips said. I'm not paranoid about this, that it's a sinister movement. And by the way, Yormark basically said the same thing. Minutes before the SEC and the Big Ten announcement, Sankey reached out to Phillips, Yormark, and NCAA's President Charlie Baker to alert them of the news. Yormark described his initial reaction as benign. If Tony and Greg wants to go deeper think tank with their key stakeholders about the future of college athletics, there's no pride of authorship here as long as the communication continues at the rate it's been. I really don't think about this as an opportunity for them to move in a different direction. Then it goes through the gap payout. This is Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, article of today. The Big 12, for instance, is arguably the country's most competitive basketball conference, soon to grow even better with the additions of Arizona and Arizona State next year. The ACC is arguably the most historically successful hoops league. Big 12 is playing a game, Kansas versus Houston and Mexico City. Mexico. Phillips, meanwhile, led an expansion effort last year to add SMU, Stanford, and California with a goal of long-term security in a conference that must hold at least 15 members for its contract with ESPN to remain intact. We've heard all this before. The industry is going through a reset, Yormark said. Everything is on the table for consideration. Now we get to the meat of the article. NCAA tournament and CFP future. Over the last 3 weeks at 2 separate meetings, high-ranking college leaders took the initial step in exploring significant change to both the NCAA's men's basketball tournament and the college football playoff. You see, they're, in my opinion, if you read the article, they're kind of attaching these two things, right? You know, the Big 12 and the ACC, they might want more juice, more money when it comes to the NCAA tourney credits. Big 12 and ACC versus the smaller schools that make up the tournament, right? Just like with the Big 10 and the SEC is sort of, well, not sort of, they're pushing for more distribution money when it comes to the football playoffs. I think there's some, what I would call, cross-pollination going on. I think these 4 power conferences are trying to get another bite of the apple in both the basketball tournament revenues and the college football playoff revenue. I'm trying to get to this part where how to expand. So I want to see the best teams competing for a national championship. No different than the Big Ten and the SEC want to see in football. I'm not sure that is currently happening. In other words, Yormark wants more, a bigger tournament, or at least an opportunity of more Big 12 basketball schools to get into the tournament. How to expand the tournament is a lingering question, Yormark and Phillips acknowledge. So Yormark and Phillips is looking at the basketball tournament, the playoffs, the distribution money, the tourney credits, the same way that Sankey and Petitti are looking at the football playoff format. Same ingredients, different universes, but same ingredients of power, pushing the chips to the middle of the table, making sure they get the value out of the tournament, that those conferences, the value that they put into the tournament. We've gone through all that. There's a part here that I want to get to. Here we go. While serious discussions about expanding the 12-team playoff format has not arisen inside the college football playoff meetings, many believe it eventually will. Okay? There hasn't been serious discussions because they're trying to get this 12-team playoff nailed down, distribution money, playoff access, the structure, all of that. But many believe it will be talked about. Petitti has privately discussed with commissioners expansion models that include 14 and 16 teams with multiple automatic qualifiers to the major conferences. Do you guys understand that? To the major conferences. Multiple automatic qualifiers. What I think this indicates is, now this is going to sound strange, and please, I'm going to get to your comments, your super chats, your phone calls. Be patient here. This is a stacked show tonight. What I think what we're looking at is a possible, 8 plus 8, 9 plus 7. In other words, multiple automatic qualifiers to the major conferences, not the Power 2, but possibly to get the Big 12 and the ACC on board, if the ACC even is considered a major conference, if this implosion happens, which I think it will. But for now, let's just say two teams from the Big 12, ACC, Big 10, SEC. The two teams that make it to your conference championship game, whatever, they're your automatic qualifier, 8 of them. Plus, hopefully, in my opinion, hopefully a Power 5 designation, but then the rest of them at large. So 9 plus 7, something to that effect. The Big 10 wants to make sure they get more than automatic qualifiers. Think about that. That is starting to percolate. More than one automatic bid coming out of the major conferences. They're putting more value in. They want to make sure they get the value coming out back to them. Sankey and his corresponding representative has suggested in the past that the model incorporate only at large selections. Petitti's going at this completely different. Now, hopefully in that advisory group, well, we'll see what happens in that advisory group. Oresco, this is interesting, who is set to retire this summer, says that a move to a 16-team playoff could very well be in the future. I think so too. And that such a tournament would probably be under a 5 plus 7 format. 5 plus 11. Well, maybe. Petitti's looking at something different. Sankey would probably be more agreeable to a 5 plus 7 with 5 automatic berths to league champions and 11 at-large spots. The truth is, if you went to 16, you're not going to fundamentally change the playoff, he said. Your mark acknowledges on the heels of the latest realignment change, we need to think about the distribution model and possibly the format differently. Phillips believes that any format change needs to protect conference champions. If you don't have a reward for winning your conference champion, then what's the point? I happen to agree with Phillips. Sankey would rather have something different. I think Petiti lines up more with Phillips. Again, there's a lot of different thoughts on this. They're just trying to get the 12 playoff team format nailed for the next 2 years. But 2026, man, oh man. In an interview with Yahoo Sports, Phillips and Yormark joined the growing movement among commissioners who are in favor of moving to 6+6 to 5+7 for the 2024-25. 2 years ago, CFP leaders adopted 6+6. We've gone through that before. 5+7 format satisfies one of the original intentions of the 12-team expansion, to give the group of 5 one automatic berth, not 2, as would be the case with 6+6. It should be 5+7, Phillips says. That's the right thing to do. However, to change the model, a unanimous vote is needed from CFP Board of Managers, made up of one president from each FBS league and Notre Dame. Washington State's President Kirk Schultz, the Pac-12 representative, has delayed any decision while pitching a proposal to commissioners for long-term guarantees, presumably in exchange for his vote. I get it. Kirk Schultz, he's got some leverage here, right? He wants long-term guarantees. I get it. Everyone's doing the same thing here. The G5 schools want long-term guarantee. That's why they've given up the 6+6 model. All the G5 conferences are in agreement to go to 5+7 because they want long-term guarantees. But Kirk Schultz wants something different than what the G5 is getting. Kirk Schultz wants to make sure that Washington and Oregon State maybe aren't looked upon as the same as the G5. Kirk Schultz can't possibly be looking at a conference that he's going to create with Mountain West schools or whatever. Is he trying to get that conference to be considered a Power 5 conference? That can't be it. If that is what he's trying to do, it's dead on arrival. I'm hoping, I'm thinking, I'm believing, I'm going to make myself believe that next week in Dallas, Texas, that there can be a little bit of a compromise. Washington State and Oregon State will get a little bit more than what the G5 schools get in distribution. But other than that, I don't know what Kirk Schultz is going to get out of this. He's standing alone. He is the lone standing holdout. They get this model accomplished, going from 6+6 to 5+7. We've got to get to a solution for 24 and 25 because as you can see, 2026 and beyond, Petiti, Sankey, Phillips, Yormark, negotiations, compromise, plus you got NCAA basketball tournament. It's all being negotiated around the Power 4 conferences. But let's get a compromise. Let's get something done for 2024 and 2025. Because if it doesn't happen, everything is going to go pear-shaped. We could be looking at a drastically different future in 2026. Kirk Schultz, I think it's time. I think it's time next week in Dallas. Let me get to your comments. And then we're going to go in to the Holy Smokes Theater. If you haven't done so, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button if you like our content, and share the video with your family and friends. I do appreciate all your support coming on in. We've got an update in the Holy Smokes Theater, and we're going to talk about it right now. A lot of elbows are being thrown back and forth. I can see that in the chat. They can't kick out Schultz. He does have a say in the matter all the way until the end of this media contract. Stephen McNeely, they need to kick out Schultz. He's going to be in there. The Pac-12 does have, the Pac-2 is going to have representation until the end of this college football playoff contract. So the end of 2025. They need his vote. Or if they don't get Kurt Schultz's vote, if everybody walks out of Dallas, Texas, then we're going to have a 6+6 model for 24-25. And essentially Kirk Schultz probably would have put the nail in the coffin of those two schools, Oregon State, Washington State, and the G5 schools from getting a chance of having playoff access beyond 2026. I don't think that's going to happen. But that is as close. Kirk Schultz is playing with absolute fire. Corey, thank you so much once again for your incredible generosity, a gift membership. Coy, you and Nitwit, who was gifted a membership. Coy and Nitwit, you are hereby cloak and dagger knighted once again. Thank you, sir, so very much. Okay, here we go. We're going to get into it. Then we're going to open up the phone lines. Woo! Holy Smokes Theater. We covered this in our early peak episode from members only this morning. This is the gist of it, okay? We here at Peek Around the Corner in the Holy Smokes Theater, ACC Drama, North Carolina and Miami have been in the front row. Clemson and Florida State has been at the center of the stage. North Carolina is sitting behind. North Carolina in the second row. All the things that are going on at the Board of Governors, right? And then we have a situation where Notre Dame's about the 6th row. Virginia's about the 10th row. Here's the deal. Clemson has been, as you know, completely quiet. Not a word. Not a peep. Nada. Nobody can get even an interview. Nobody can get any information. Nobody is talking. Unlike Virginia Tech athletic director, Miami athletic director, Virginia, all of it, everybody else has spoken multiple times. Usually with pretty vanilla language, right? Wow, we're going to watch what happens with Florida State, but we're proud members of the ACC. We're always trying to support Philip. You've heard all this. Clemson, not a word. Even North Carolina said something. The board of regents, the chair. Clemson, not a word. Now, we were told, we've taken the L on this at least 5 times. We were told like on December 26, 2022, we were told that Florida State in the first quarter of 2024 was going to make a declaratory statement. They're going to put their flag in the ground. They're going to tell us, everybody, the plan and how they're going to get out of the ACC. We were told that December 6, 2022. That same Florida State money purchase has been nailing this story ever since. But him and other people were under the strong belief that Clemson was going to eventually follow Florida State's path into the courts, not in October, like some other articles were written, not in November, not in December, but between January 20th and February 6th before the winter meetings start. And they've already started today. They were under that strongly held, they thought it was going to happen for lots of different reasons. Some of it we talked about, some of it we can't, but mainly Clemson has done everything Florida State has done. Everything. And that includes discussions with private equity. They've done everything. So, they didn't do it. They did not do it. Why didn't they do it? Well, we were told yesterday, and this was we'll leave that out of it. But Clemson and Florida State, obviously Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina communicated with each other plenty, right? All three of them voted no against expansion. Been in lockstep on a lot of ACC issues. When it comes to the revenue sharing, unequal revenue sharing, they walked in lockstep. So there have been obviously some sort of connection between the three. But what we have been told, what we have learned, is it isn't Clemson and Florida State that have the closest working relationship when it comes to trying to get out of the ACC. It's Clemson and North Carolina. They are the ones that are communicating, especially around January 12th, when the new interim president came in to North Carolina, when Mike Gusowich left. That was one of the big events that has happened on the ground when it comes to what Clemson and North Carolina is trying to decide to do. Now, North Carolina, we know what played out at the Board of Governors. That still isn't official yet, but it's going to happen. We were told this in a couple of conversations. Both Clemson and North Carolina get something out of their working relationship when it comes to the ACC. When it's trying to get out of the ACC, if it implodes, if Florida State strikes gold, Clemson and North Carolina both get something out. Both get something out of their relationship. One, for Clemson, North Carolina, is their blocking back. North Carolina is considered the most valuable piece for SEC. That's the one they want if the ACC implodes. This has been reported everywhere. We've been told this. We consider this to be absolutely true, confirmed, double up on, triple up on. SEC has targeted North Carolina. We've talked about this over and over again. We were the head of the curve on the lay of the land when we talked about the removal of Mike Gusowich 3 months before it happened. But the Clemson piece is the piece that was cloaked. We had no idea. It was explained to us in two separate long communications with two different people. It's Clemson and North Carolina that are moving lockstep with each other. Clemson gets the benefit of North Carolina. North Carolina gets the benefit of Clemson. Something we did not understand. But Clemson, if they get in, if they're working with North Carolina, they both jump into the deep end of the pool at the same time. Whenever this happens, whenever they go in the courts, this is going to help North Carolina's ability to get independent from their requirements when it comes to the North Carolina Board of Governors, which North Carolina knew what was going to happen. They knew this was going to happen. They anticipated that this was going to happen, obviously. But Clemson, North Carolina, they're both getting something out of the relationship. It is Clemson and North Carolina that are the best. This is what the words, we used this in the early peak episode this morning. We're going to use this phrase now because it was told to us Sunday night. Clemson and North Carolina are the best buddies. North Carolina and Clemson are the best buddies. They're working together. They're the ones that are coordinating. We did not know this. I have never even said I know there was a report out there. It was as we were in this long communication. There was a report that one of my associates Googled something about North Carolina, Clemson been talking. I don't even know. I can't remember who wrote it. It might have been Brett McMurphy. It might have been Pete Thamel. It might have been Ross Gellinger. Google it. Google it. I think I might have seen that. I might have, but I surely did not talk about it. Now, we had two separate phone calls. Well, one was two separate communications, and it was explained to us. We have been in the midst here at Peek Around the Corner. We're following a lot of stories. Some of them we have struck gold on. We have been passing the bones around, so to speak. And we got bones back to us. And this was it. It's Clemson. We've worked hard on this. We've worked very hard on this. And it might not seem like a big deal, but it changes everything in what I was thinking, and BTM and his associates, a lot of my guys, what they were thinking. One person in the industry, we had a long discussion after these two sources gave us the information, so on and so forth. But it changes a lot. Yeah, I think, look, I'm going to get to your comments and phone calls here in a moment. I've often said in the past couple of months that Florida State, that the Big Ten is the chalk for Florida State's future. But I've often said I'm not going to shut down any doors on Florida State's possibilities because you can't. You can't. This is a long story. We've gotten through quite a bit of it since the start of it. We've learned more and more, right? But Florida State being the chalk of the Big Ten, it's sort of obvious, it's logical, but I can't shut the door down on the Seminoles becoming a member of the SEC. No way, no how. But the Big Ten, yeah, that's the chalk. On the flip side of the coin, this North Carolina Clemson, we've been talking about how it's North Carolina going to the SEC is the chalk because we've given you the lay of the land. We've gone into details that we probably shouldn't. I mean, we've gone into everything when it comes to North Carolina. We're way ahead on that. North Carolina, yes, chalk to go to the SEC. You know, this Clemson, North Carolina thing, possibly helping each other out towards a path to the same conference. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, don't it? So, PATC is putting it out there on this sports book. The favorite, the chalk of two schools going to the SEC is North Carolina and Clemson. Could it change? Yes. Are we closing the door on any other possibilities for Clemson and North Carolina? No. And that includes some other formation, some other Frankenstein conference that could be built. Everything is in the open. But North Carolina and Clemson to the SEC, yeah, that's the chalk. It is. It makes sense now. It makes sense. And we did not know about this. We did not know about this. But it's not only if you go back and you read the News and Observer, if you go back in those articles in October that said that Clemson was imminent, that Clemson was going to declare how they're going to get out of the ACC. You remember those articles in October? I think it was October. Or it said it was going to happen in October. And we said we don't have the information here at Peek Around the Corner. We believe that Florida State was the first quarter of 2024. Well, I'm not going to get into how those stories came about and maybe how that information turned up to be wrong, but it did turn up to be wrong, just like our information between January 20th and February 6th of 2024. But I'm just gonna speculate here. I think they were wrong for the same reason we were wrong. It's that Clemson's working with somebody, and it's not Florida State. It's North Carolina. So I'm gonna say something clear here. This is not an excuse. This is another L. Because I've already gotten a one particular nasty note from somebody who watched my early peak episode this morning. No, it's not an excuse. It's another L. It's another L. We did not see this. But now we know. Now we know. And now we're going to come at this in a different way, peek around the corner, when it comes to trying to unravel, trying to unlock the Clemson door. Because we know people at North Carolina. It's why we were ahead on the curve of the lay of the landscape at North Carolina. It's why we were able to give you information. We know people. We can now, we sort of seeing this a little differently. We are seeing this differently. The lay of the land is a little bit different. Inside the Holy Smokes is different. So, Clemson did not jump off the stage. They were in the center of the stage with Florida State, but they're not. We're going to put them at the edge of the stage. They're still standing there, Clemson. But they have done too much work to get to the front row. They are standing on the stage in the Holy Smokes Theater, but they're at the edge of the stage. Florida State's in the center. Clemson's at the edge, just where Arizona was in the Big 12 drama. But North Carolina no longer is in the front row. They have jumped on the stage. They're standing at the edge of the stage, and they're holding hands with Clemson. Clemson and North Carolina are holding hands at the edge of the stage. This we did not know. But we know it now, and we are delivering it to you today, February 13th, 2024. There are other things we're not going to, we'll wait on. One other thing that I'm going to just slightly push the envelope on. The North Carolina Clemson thing. The holding of the hands, the working, the coordination, them being best buddies, it's even outside of the administrators. There are other people talking, coordinating, being best of buddies. So it's not about athletic director and athletic director. There are other people involved in this. And as we go on, we'll go deeper into that part of the story. So let me get to your comments, your phone calls. It's another turn in this long adventure that we're on in the Holy Smokes Theater. Holy smokes. Tiger Hill Pack 2 Master. UVA just joined the Ivy League. Nothing on UVA from here at Peek Around the Corner. Nothing on UVA at all. I'm going to open up the phone lines. We've been on the air for quite a while. No phone calls yet. We're going to get this line open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. The cloak worked. From us, it worked on us. Maybe other people had this. They probably did. But we did not. We did not have this at all. Clemson, North Carolina, I would anticipate them acting together from here on in. Kyle Visser, maybe this explains why North Carolina State changed their vote. I don't know. Good question. I don't know. It's a marathon. It absolutely is, Tomasta. It absolutely is. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. They're not tied together, UNC, North Carolina State, but the North Carolina Board of Governors have made it a little bit more complicated for North Carolina to separate themselves from North Carolina State. So the North Carolina, if they get an opportunity to join the SEC, they're going to have to set up a financial plan and place it in front of the Board of Governors.
Call from Becky. Go ahead.
Becky, congratulations on your show last night. Fantastic job. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Glad to see you stopped in for a minute.
Yes. You guys were fantastic. You and Sergeant Pickles.
Yep. Sergeant Pickles and I, Big Ten West Mafia.
Yep.
We're like the new Far West, Big Ten West.
Yes. Yep.
Can't wait to see ourselves on that graphic, the video that we always see where they're going across the U.S. with the song playing. And all.
I wonder when that commercial's coming out, the new commercial.
Right? Like, I'm so curious. Like, probably be like August 3rd or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so far away. But, I mean, it probably is going to end up having to change again anyway and add Florida State.
Yeah, I think the chances of that keeps growing a little bit every month.
Yeah, I'm just really curious on the big, like, you get these weird feelings like Fox is targeting markets, whereas ESPN has been targeting states, right? So it's like every time the SEC expands, it like adds a new state. Except in the case of Texas this time, but it's Texas. You can't turn down the Longhorns.
Yeah.
And then they had.
I would consider it. I've had discussions on this with other people, but the Big Ten has sort of, when they've added. Well, there's not many examples of this, but when they added Rutgers and Maryland, it was a blend. When they added Washington and Oregon, it was a blend. That's why a lot of people I talk to thinks that if the Big Ten is not able to get Notre Dame or North Carolina, who would be their top two targets, that a good blend with Florida State would be Miami, because it brings the market. But yeah, the Big Ten is more market conscious because they have more national advertisers. They like more a diversity of their demographics. It's just a different business way of doing things than the SEC. And some of that is because the Big Ten needed to. The SEC did not need to. So it's complicated, just like everything that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you remember Feinbaum's comments, when was that, like 4 or 5 months ago or whatever it was? Still long ago. But when Feinbaum said that he didn't think Florida State or Clemson were going to be the target for the SEC because they already have the overlap with the Gators and obviously with South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then I don't think they feel like they need anybody in Atlanta because they have the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So, and he made it seem like it would be like a Miami and like a North Carolina or a UVA, like those three might be. He definitely was like really big on Miami because of the market. So
Yeah.
I'm very confused on what they're looking to do. Because, I mean, ESPN wants to make money, and the best way to make money is, you have the SEC network, you have the ACC network. Well, now you can charge more if you have a team, a school in those states, right?
Yeah.
So, now they're in California, and they could be making, money hand over fist for anybody who has that network. So it's just a very weird. I can't figure out what their thought process is. Like, I think Florida State prefers the Big Ten because they're a big research school. So I think for them, like, being in a research with a bunch of research universities like Washington, Michigan, and that, like, it would boost them. But, like, God, I'm just thinking as a Husky fan, like, Seattle to Miami, that is a 6-hour flight.
Can you hold on, Becky?
Yeah.
I apologize. Dave Bauer in the chat, Heather Dinich within the last 10 minutes posted an update regarding Schultz, Pac-2, regards the playoff format. Somebody send that to me in my DM, please. I would appreciate it. Go ahead, Becky.
Oh, yeah. No, I was like, oh, yeah. She said, asked Schultz what he thought about the Big Ten and SEC working in tandem. I think right now we need those two conferences to roll up their sleeves. Let's see what those two conferences working together come up with. That's the quote.
Yeah, okay. I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
I mean, the SEC. Okay, now I'm starting to get all fired up again here. The SEC and the Big Ten, absolutely, they need to do this, and I'm not convinced that they're going to be successful. I'm not convinced on Greg Sankey. However, and Petiti. However, they're rolling up their sleeve. The advisory group is rolling up their sleeves for 2026 and beyond. We need Kirk Schultz to get this done for 24 and 25.
So there is another quote there from Schultz that she got. So he said, for our two schools in the Pac-12, as it's currently configured, there is no question that 5-7 with 7 at-larges is better than 6 at-larges. That part of the discussion we're having within the conference footprint or the two schools is that very point.
Okay.
I can't figure out if he's for it or against it. It sounds like he's for it on one hand, and then on the other hand, he's like, I don't want to give the SEC and the Big Ten, another at large. I don't. Whatever you would take from that, Craig.
Huh? I'm reading.
Whatever you want to take from that. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to read these Heather Dinich tweets, Becky. So I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Congratulations on your show. Incredible. Go ahead and advertise your show real quick, Becky.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can catch Sergeant Pickles and I, Big Ten West Mafia, Mondays at 8 o'clock Eastern on College Football Mafia here on YouTube.
Beautiful.
So if you're a subscriber to Big 12 Mafia, pretty much that's where you'll find us.
Beautiful. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate the phone call. I'm sorry. I got to get into this breaking news here.
No, you're good. It's breaking news, Craig.
You
do your thing.
Guy, thank you. Appreciate it. Becky, go Huskies. Becky, go Huskies. Canes all day. Going against the chalk. Florida State ends up in the SEC. Economics, travel, recruiting, cultural footprint, all huge in SEC's favor. Big Ten equals emotional decision. Canes all day. Thank you. Appreciate your super chat, your generosity.
Call from
BJ.
BJ, can you hold on 1 second?
Oh, sure.
I appreciate it. I got to get through these Heather Dinich tweets that just came out, trying to make heads or tails of this. 14 minutes ago, next Tuesday's virtual meeting will give Schultz an opportunity to formally present the league's requested revenue distribution in the next football playoff contract for the next 2 years, which is the remainder of the playoffs' current 12-year contract. Washington State and Oregon State will each continue to receive the Power 5 revenue distribution, which is between $5 and $6 million. They're asking to continue to receive that amount in the next playoff contract, not knowing what their conference affiliation will be. This is what we anticipated. Everybody in the PATC community, we anticipated this. But they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. Unless they fold into the ACC at some point. So what are they willing to receive? 7, 8 million, 9, 10 million? They're not going to get the whole. They're just not. We know we will get feedback, Schultz said. I also anticipate at the meeting there'll be a vote called as a separate item on the playoff format, and us and Oregon State come to a consensus on what our position will be. Okay, yada, yada, yada. They spoke favorably of the 5+7. Okay. For 2 schools in the Pac-12 currently configured, there's no question that the 5-7, the 5-7 at large, okay, they're okay with that model. It's about the revenue. They want whatever that number is. Right now, PATC math says it's going to be about $15 million for every Power 4 school. Now, what is 20% of 15 million? What is 20% of 15 million? I'll get to you in a second, BJ. I apologize.
3 million?
I apologize. What is 20% of 15 million? What is that? 3.75, right? Something like that. 3.8. Is it 3.8? Whatever. So what Washington State and Oregon State want to make sure is instead of getting that 3.8 million per year, it's 15 million per year, right? That's what they're fighting for. Anyways, BJ, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, good sir?
So what's up? Thanks for having me on again.
Got it, buddy.
I was gonna talk about the basketball, but since
go ahead.
So real quick, when it comes to the basketball, the Brett Yarmark responses are just salesman responses. I think the Big Ten is a competitive conference, but the people who write the checks, they could care less about how competitive it is, how many hours are watching it. And if you guys are into TV viewership, the Big 12 is still 4th in basketball viewership behind the Big 10, ACC, and SEC. Getting more teams in a 68-field tournament, I think, is ludicrous, right? I think the tournament at 68 is about right, expanding it more just for TV money that may not even be there, because I don't think there will be a lot of people wanting to watch 100 teams in a tournament,
Yeah.
And that scheduling too, right? If you add another 20 teams, the regular season is going to have to be cut short. The conference tournaments is going to have to be moved. So I think it's just talk just to combat the Power 2 linking up personally. But he's doing what he has to do for his conference. It makes absolutely no sense, but it is what it is. And as it pertains to this Schultz guy, I find myself looking at it in 2 different, lenses. As a fan of college football versus looking at it from Schultz's standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
From Schultz's standpoint, he could care less about the fans of Texas or Florida State or Ohio State. He cares about his constituents, which is Washington State. And as much as we want him to get on board and just get rolled over, I think he's doing what he has to do because he really has nothing to lose. And he's not going to be a part of a Power 2. He can just try to get as much money as he can for his school. And even if they don't get anything in 2 years, right, they'll be a part of the Mountain West or vice versa. And to be honest with you, the Mountain West has probably had some of the best G5 football out there. So the 5, they may be competing for that 5th spot, on a every other year basis. So I don't mind him doing what he's doing for his constituents, even if it's not what I want to see as a fan. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all I have to say about my comments for today. And love your show.
Got it. I appreciate it, BJ. Thanks for calling again, sir. Call again.
Definitely.
You got it. All right. Beautiful. Now, I mean, I get it. I get it. BJ's making a lot of sense. Once again, Kirk Schultz is looking at it from his constituency, his university. Okay, somebody corrected my math, which is often the case. So, the difference between, now we're making a lot of assumptions here on the $1.3 billion a year. This is not going to be correct, but something like this. The difference between a G5 payout and playoff money and a Power 4 conference money could be something like $3 million versus $15 million. Okay? 1.3 billion, take 15 million times 68, which is 80% of the revenue. Take 3 million times whatever 68 minus 134 is. That's the number of G5 schools. You get that amount of money. Those two numbers should equal somewhere around 1.3 billion. Somewhere around there. So Oregon State and Washington State, they believe that they're going to fight for more than $3 million a year. They're not going to get $15 million, but they're going to fight for more than, they don't even know what conference they're going to be in, right? If they don't make it to the ACC, and I don't think there's any shot for them to make it to the Big 12, but if they don't make it to the ACC, if ACC implodes, but they still don't get picked up, $3 million, that's less than what they're making now. They're making $6 million now. $5 to $6 million as a part of the Pac-12 for the next 2 years. Then in 2026, they're going to be making less. They're going to be making half. So maybe I'm hoping that there is some sort of compromise. Washington State and Oregon State make $8 million, whatever. Hopefully that can get done because we need clarity. We need some sort of, this is what 24 and 25 is. What I also want to see, and I haven't seen in a reporting, let me know. The phone lines is open. The phone lines are open, but I have not seen, let me know in the chat here. Let me know if I'm wrong. I haven't seen any reporting today of the question of, did the commissioners with this contract, now it's not official yet, right? But with this contract, with ESPN, did they get a clause in there that they could flip the switch and go to expand the playoffs to 16? And the decision relies with the commissioners. No, they don't have to go back to ESPN. It's all written up. It's all done. It's just if they want to flip the switch, if they want to expand to 16 and figure out the structure, figure out the playoff distribution, whatever. But do they have the power to go to 16 teams without going back to your media partner ESPN? Because remember, a couple weeks ago, it was reported that this is what the commissioners wanted. This is what they were shooting for. They wanted this ability to be nimble, to be quick, to switch, to go, to expand. Just in case, for an example, just in case the ACC implodes, right? just in case it implodes here, the Big Ten and the SEC, they want the playoffs to expand. They want to be able to go, okay, guys, we're going to 16. More, either with more at-large bids or more automatic qualifiers for the power conferences, which would probably be down to 3 at the point. Just in case the ACC implodes, they want to be able to go, we're going to 12. A 20-team Big Ten conference, we're going to 16 playoffs teams. An 18 to 20-team SEC conference, we're going to 16-team playoffs, right? Big 12 might go from 16 to 20 teams. Big 12, we're going to a 16-team playoffs. I think that, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any reporting on this at all. Did they get that clause in the contract? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333 while we wait for the next phone call. Brett McMurphy. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Lee Barden, thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you so very much for coming on in. Greg, PATC. I'm thinking UNC, Clemson, North Carolina State, UVA heading to the SEC. What do you think? I'm not going to shut the door on that possibility. I'm not going to shut the door. Now, do all 4 of those schools, do they bring enough value? Would they have to come in as a discount? Remember, in that new contract that officially starts, that new media contract that the SEC has with ESPN, starting July 1st, 2024, there's a pro rata clause in there. Big Ten doesn't have that with Fox, but SEC does. Now, it doesn't mean the SEC is going to be going, oh, we'll add on these 4 and not get any input from ESPN. They'll be working closely with ESPN. If the ACC implodes, but they do have a pro rata clause in there. That's the advantage that the SEC has. North Carolina, Clemson knows for sure if they get an invitation to the SEC, they're coming in at a full membership, full revenue money, coming in year 1. North Carolina State and UVA the same. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean maybe they'd have to come in as a discount to get the votes within the SEC. There's a lot of political gamemanship going on. But yeah, I'm not shutting the door on that possibility. Of course, it's a long shot. Any one of these is a long shot. That's just the way it is. Too many variables going on here. Lee Barden, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity. Appreciate it so very much. Now, as we wait for the next phone call, the 10 schools, this is Brett McMurphy, Action Network. Listen to this. Listen to this. The 10 schools leaving the Pac-12 likely will still play in Pac-12 affiliated bowls the next 2 seasons and not in the bowl tie-ins with their new conferences, sources told Action Network. Holy smokes! The former Pac-12 schools are not expected to play in bowls with their new conferences for multiple reasons. Conference and bowl sources told Action Network. The contracts between the conferences and bowls don't end until after the 25 season. With only Oregon State, Washington State remaining in the Pac-12 in 2024, the 6 bowls with the Pac-12 ties could not be filled without drawing from other conferences. Wow. Because of the mass exodus of Pac-12 schools, all the stakeholders involved are seeking a temporary solution until the new bowl contracts begin in 26, sources said. Out of the series of not great options, the most workable, short of blowing up the bowl system And the 35 non-playoff bowl contracts is to have the former Pac-12 schools sent to Pac-12 bowls for 2 more years, a source said. My goodness, this is going to be Washington and Oregon, UCLA and USC. So you're not going to have the bowl tie-in to the Citrus Bowl. Outback Bowl, whatever that's called nowadays. Very interesting. That means that after the 12-team college football playoff field is selected, the former Pac-12 bowl eligible teams would be considered part of the Pac-12 bowl pool. This could keep Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Cal, and Stanford for participating in the new conference bowl games in 2026. We're not going to see UCLA, USC in the Pinstripe Bowl in New York Yankee Stadium. We're just not going to see it. The 6 Pac-12 bowl tie-ins in 24-25 are the Alamo, Holiday, Las Vegas Sun, Los Angeles Independence. So does this mean that we could see Washington in the Las Vegas Bowl against a Big Ten team? Because the Las Vegas Bowl is Pac-12, and then it alternates between SEC and Big Ten team playing a Pac-12. This is very, very strange. But again, short notice. They didn't want to blow everything up until after the new bowl contracts are cemented in for 26 and beyond. Wow. While having the former Pac-12 schools play in the Pac-12 Bowl is the simplest and most logical solution, there, of course, are some stakeholders pushing back for various reasons. How the Pac-12 bowls would be filled remains unknown. The selection order likely wouldn't be based on conference records. One possibility would be allowing the bowls to pick a bowl-eligible team based on the bowl selection order without regards to wins and losses. Man, oh man, it's a mess. Let's see if there's anything else in here. They're just going through each bowl game. Again, there is a link in the description box. You can read the whole article. Just some more stuff going on. College football.
Call from
JD.
JD, Mr. Seminole, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
Fine, sir. How about yourself?
Doing good. Very busy day. Very busy day. College football going crazy. Changes in the Holy Smokes Theater. Florida State. It sounds like, well, we were told this. Couple different sources. Clemson and North Carolina are just a little bit more closer to themselves than they are to Florida State when it comes to a working relationship, when it comes to this ACC saga. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I appreciate you you kind of continuing to dig and to get some more clarity. One of our insiders, he's the one with the Big Ten angle. He's been saying all along that FSU and Clemson were not joined at the hip, and you know, maybe they've shared some information, but their plight is different, and so you know, I appreciate you following up with that information, because you know, as fans, we're not a part of the decision making process, obviously, but we do want clarity, you know, and now we're getting some clarity. And FSU's on their own, which is fine. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You know, it's just, you know, you use the phrase often, lay of the land. You know, we want to know what the lay of the land is, and now there's clarity.
Yes.
And and I appreciate your due diligence on that for sure. As far as any news on the FSU end, just they're continuing to file motions, and they filed some motions, I think, in both courts. Just procedural stuff in the last few days. FSU's done it, the ACC's done it. I mean, it's just nothing to, no big news items, But it's just the lawyers are doing their job, So getting in, things in prepared. But the college football playoff contract that came out, I know everybody or most think it's not as high as what was expected, and I know that could change. But at least I'm using the word clarity a lot right now.
Yeah.
At least there's some clarity there too. What do you think the formula is? Because what I see is that I see that if you divided the contract, and I know you took the 80% and everything else. I just did a quick calculation, and I might have, I didn't proof myself. I think that based it at around $260 million per Power Four, and then there is no way the Power Two. There's no way that they share the revenue the same with the Big 12 and the ACC. I'm assuming they're going to want 50% more.
Yeah.
What's your feelings on that?
I would be surprised at this point if the SEC and the Big Ten doesn't get a little bit more out of that playoff money than the Big 12 and the ACC. If they do not, they're getting something else more, whether it comes to voting rights or something. But yeah, I think we've seen enough smoke to we know that they're going to be getting something more out of this, which is more than what they traditionally receive. And maybe in return, the Big Ten and the SEC agrees that something to do with playoff, the basketball tourney, where I don't know. There'll be some trade-offs back and forth, but yeah, I do think the Big Ten and the SEC will get more money, a little bit more money than the Big 12 and the ACC. We'll see what happens next week.
I just have a feeling they're going to get anywhere between $5 to $10 million a year more. Is what I think. And again, I could be wrong, but I just did a little quick calculation, and if they do offset numbers, and you're looking at potentially ACC members getting 10 to 12 million, and let's say Big Ten members getting anywhere between 20 to 22 million. Again, we don't know for sure. We don't know how it's all going to get cut up, but that just took me down another road. People that want to know why FSU with private equity wouldn't just use the private equity to offset their losses. Let's calculate the difference in conference revenue plus the extra money that the Power Two is going to get in playoff revenue, plus extra advertising revenue, and everything else. Greg, it could be $1 billion difference over 13 years. We're not talking about 300 or 400 million. We're talking about $1 billion difference versus staying in the ACC. And I mean, it's just those are some of the numbers that we were kind of playing around with in our little debates a year ago. Oh, it could be $1 billion over. We nailed it.
Yeah.
We nailed it. And I'm not saying it's going to be exactly $1 billion. It might be $800 million. It might be $1.2 billion. Regardless, we're not staying, which is good news. But yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just
yeah, it's more incentive, right? It's just more incentive for a Florida State to be doing what they're doing.
It is. It
so,
is.
yeah.
It
Yep.
is. But I had some other stuff I was going to chat with you about, but I'm going to kind of cut it short tonight. I'm
Got
a
it.
little long-winded. I'll save it up for another night.
You got it. There's
So,
going to be a lot of nights
but
coming up. That's for sure.
yes, sir.
Thank
All
you,
right. Have a
sir.
great evening.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Great call by JD, Mr. Seminole. Next week, hopefully we'll get resolution. There is a Ross Dellinger article that just popped up. Thank you for everybody who has sent me the DM on it. Appreciate it. A lot of it is the same. Here we go. We've been an Autonomy 5 school and have resourced ourselves at that level for 25 to 30 years, Schultz said. Just because we were left standing in musical chairs, we just don't feel like we should be regulated by no fault of our own. In its current revenue model, the CFP distributes about $6 million annually to those power programs in power leagues. Those in the group of 5 earn about $1 million in distribution. That's what we've talked about. Now maybe it's 15 million versus 3 million. If our PATC math is anywhere to be correct. Schultz said there is no contract between 25 beyond the 25 playoff. There is no adopted revenue distribution for 26 and beyond. We've talked about that, the great gold rush of 26. Schultz's proposal is at the center of delay in an important vote from the CFP Board of Managers, made up of presidents from the 10 FBS leagues in Notre Dame. 5 weeks ago, in an in-person meeting, national championship in Houston, they're talking about 6+6 to 5+7. The vote must be unanimous, giving Schultz leverage over a significant decision as to the format over the next 2 years. In an interview, this is the PATC money shot of this article. In the interview Tuesday, Schultz shot down the idea that his vote is tied to the granting of his proposal, but he declined to reveal how he plans to vote. We're not going to tie those two things together. That's not appropriate, he said. There's been some speculation that the two are tied together. That would be the place where the Pac-12 conference would not be a good colleague for college football by going, we've given you a proposal, you better do exactly as we ask, or there's going to be some penalty. That's not the right stance to take. So, it sounds like Schultz is ready to make a move, to make a compromise here. I think that's where we're heading. Some commissioners have expressed frustration over the delay and have even spoken out publicly. It should be 5+7. Anyways, that's just another update article from Ross Dellinger. I happen to think we're moving towards that 5+7 for 24 and 25. And Washington State and Oregon State, 26 and beyond, I think they're going to get not the full Power 4 conference payout. They're going to get a little less than that. Or a whole lot less. Maybe a little bit more than G5, less than Power 4. I think we're coming to a compromise. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about next week. Tell me how wrong I am.
Call from
ABO Prep Course 100%.
Soap is on the line. Soap, how you doing, sir? The floor
I'm well, Greg.
is yours.
I'm well. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said the floor is yours, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Hey, Greg, that Schultz guy is a real piece of work. He screwed a lot of things up when they were going through the PAC dissolution or so forth. But he really has no leverage because the worst case scenario, the very worst case scenario, is what happens. This year we play the bowl series with the existing 6-on-6, and you tell me the uproar that's going to occur when some team from the group of 5 gets a spot in the playoff, as opposed to a major university like Michigan or Texas A&M. There will be heck to pay, and the only person who's responsible for that will be Kurt Schultz and his university, and the backlash to that will be horrible. There is no way that they're going to give any spots. I don't think they're going to give any spots to the group of 5 for the new playoff. If you look at the numbers, Greg, it really doesn't make much sense. They're paying them 20% of the total revenue for 8% of the production. Only 1 out of 12 teams. That's 8%. So they're getting 20% of the revenue for production of 8% of the teams.
Well, let me say, we don't know if they're getting 20%. We're just speculating because they're getting 20% now.
Right. So I'm just saying that the math doesn't seem realistic that they would. In my and I don't think it'd be realistic that they would get 20% in the future. I don't think that people really care whether or not the group of 5 have someone in that championship. I'd rather see them have their own championship, sell their own game, and make a lot more money.
I'm in the minority. There are some of us who want them to be in the playoffs.
I respect that. That's perfectly fine.
Because
I respect
if they had their own playoffs, they're not going to be making $3 million a team or $2 million a team.
I don't know. I think they'll be making a lot more than that, Greg. I think it would replace all of those bowl games that they have. All those bowl games that nobody really watches. You start making them, playoff games for the group of 5. I think people would watch that. That's just my opinion, though. Who knows? We don't know, but that was my main thing, is that Kurt Schultz can go ahead and keep his position as long as he wants, because it's not going to make any difference. Yeah. They're 2 schools. The 2 schools left over by the Pac-12 are not going to be part of the ongoing bowl championship series, and they're not going to get full. Just like you said, they're not going to get a full share. It's not going to happen. And I find it a bit hypocritical to hear Kurt Schultz sit there complain about his position when he never said anything about what happened to Texas, to TCU and SMU and the University of Houston when they got left behind by the Southwest Conference.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for me, my friend.
All right, good point.
I appreciate
Great
you
points
taking my call
once again. So appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for taking my call.
Beautiful call. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, once again, the fat guy from Minnesota is in the minority on this issue. Tuffy Duffy, just have a G5 division and have their own national championship. Somebody would get behind that and pay for it. I agree with the caller. I think the reason why the G5 schools haven't decided to do that yet, because they know they're not going to get the money for it. That's the point. But again, I am in the minority.
Call from
Devo.
Is it Devo?
Stevo.
I'm sorry, Stevo. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir.
Well, we need to have a discussion. This is Tony Petiti, right?
Tony Petiti, Big Ten Commissioner.
Okay, Tony, this is Greg Sankey. How you doing?
Oh, how you doing? Good. Yeah, we're having that discussion. You're right. Yes, I'm doing fine, sir. How you doing?
Good. It was good spending time with you last week talking about the playoffs, and
I was holding off on this discussion until after he solved that, but it looks like it's sped up. Wonder what you're thinking if the ACC falls apart. How many teams you want, Tony?
We want one other if we get Notre Dame. If we don't get Notre Dame, we want two.
Okay, I think you're finally going to get Notre Dame, Tony.
Okay, we'll take them and we'll take another. It doesn't really matter to us what we take.
Okay, it doesn't matter?
No.
Okay. How about, what do you think, Virginia?
Well, now it does matter. We'll take Miami.
Well, Tony,
Yeah.
you know, I hear all this talk about Florida State and all that. If you take one of the southern teams in our footprint, it's going to have a lot of presidents and ADs really upset in the Southeastern Conference. Is there somebody you get your second choice that's not in our footprint?
No, because this is what internally, Greg Sankey, internally, the Buckeyes, Penn State, Michigan, they sort of kind of acquiesced when we added on Washington, Oregon. They knew that the next expansion was going to go in the Southeast, so we have to go through on this. So no, we're going to take someone in the South. I offered up Miami because I figured that would be the least offensive move to you, Mr. Sankey, because Miami is the most northern of the markets when it comes to all your markets in the SEC footprint. So I would figure Notre Dame and Miami would be the least offensive to you.
Well, that I agree on that point, but don't you want a travel partner with Miami?
Well, sure, but if we got Notre Dame, we'll just take one other. I'm not sure we can get Notre Dame. If we can't take Notre Dame, we'll take Florida State and Miami. Call it a day.
Well, what do you think of Kansas?
We need to satisfy. We need to get into the Southeast. That's where the demographics is. That's where the growing and that's where Fox Sports wants to go. I don't think we can come to a compromise. So this cannot be coordinated. So therefore, it's going to be a good old rock fight between the SEC and the Big Ten.
Well, Tony, I didn't think you would go this direction.
I love this phone call.
I think you might want to reconsider Kansas or Virginia. I mean, we would if we went two, we might go North Carolina and Kansas because we like to be contiguous, if I can say that word.
Yeah.
If we go forward, then we're looking at Clemson, Florida State, along with those two. But if you wanted Kansas, then I could swap Kansas for Virginia.
Well, we respect Kansas, but we got to get in the Southeast. This has already been. This is one of those things where we were going to go west because we were going to go southeast. So we went west with Washington and Oregon. This is after going into Los Angeles. The Big Ten's going southeast by hook or by crook.
Okay.
All righty. I'm sorry, Mr. Sankey. We're going to have our advisory board talk about it, athletic directors, and we'll meet up again.
Well, okay. We'll talk again, Tony.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I'll be in touch.
Mr. Sankey, appreciate it. Yeah, the Big Ten, now we reported this over and over and over again, even though we're being raked over the coals, that the Big Ten was going to go west again before they went to the southeast. Over and over and over again, we said this. And it happened. Now they're going southeast. They're not going to pull the rug. This has been a plan the whole time. So, by hook or by crook, a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, the Big Ten is going to land somewhere in the southeast. A lot of different variables going on. I tried to work out, as Tony Petiti, I tried to work out a deal with Greg Sankey, but there is no deal to be made. So we continue on. There's nothing, Kansas, great university, great market, great basketball market. Big 12 championship tournament. Just fantastic down there. But the Big Ten's already, there's a lot of internal IOUs that have to be paid off. Yeah, that was a great phone call. Beautiful. Phone lines open, 763-260-1333. If you want to become a member of college football's Peek Around the Corner Cloak and Dagger Early Peek Cloak and Dagger, go to the link in the description. Hit that link. Hit the join button. The Clemson, North Carolina, holding hands at the edge of the stage inside the Holy Smoke Theater. We put that information out this morning. Members only got to hear the information that we put out tonight in our live show. We keep doing this over and over again. Cloak and Dagger, sources, breaking stories. We first give a little bit of nugget in the Cloak and Dagger Early Peek episode, $4.99 a month. Check it out. So if you're interested in becoming a member of our YouTube channel, hit that join button. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel. Get your notifications on. We can come on and live at any time. Anytime at all. Follow us at Flug Empire on X, formerly known as Twitter, because we give everybody a heads up, an advertisement to our next live show. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes I have to run in the studio and come on live and break some news or cover breaking news. That's what we do here. We cover everything in college football. Passionate college football fans, come to the rebel outpost of all of college football YouTube channels, College Football's Peek Around the Corner. So make sure you subscribe, get yourself notified, open up those notifications, smash the like button if you've enjoyed our content today, because it helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so very much. If you've disliked our content, hit the thumbs down button, smash it, and let me know in the chat room or on X, Flug Empire on X, and let me know how we can better serve you, the college football consumer. The only thing we do not allow here at Peek Around the Corner, you can smash that thumbs down button. You can let us know how we screwed it all up, or we can do a better job here at Peek Around the Corner. But we do not let hate speech into our chat, and the spamming we do not allow. You can rip on me as much as you want, not quite as much as you want. The last live show, we had a gentleman who put 9 comments in 3 minutes, and all 9 comments were the same except for one or a couple words different, chewing me out on why I was so upset with UCLA 247's reporting on their head coach searching. We had very good reasons to be pissed off. I couldn't give the whole reason why on a channel. That guy came on here and spammed my chat board. And so I had to block him. The 4th person in 17 months, I had to block. Then that same person went on Minnesota 247 and went after me on that message board, saying the same. So once again, I had myself a stalker. Not the first, it won't be the last. I want people to come into the chat room, disagree with me, disagree with other people, but do it with respect. This is college football's YouTube channel. We love our game. We absolutely love our game, our teams, and we give each other elbows. But spamming, it ain't going to happen. If it does happen, you're gone. Hate speech, you're gone. Disagreeing, that's cool. That's why we're here. We are here to disagree with each other. Myself, Tony Petiti, just got in a back and forth with Greg Sankey on the line, and we could not make a deal work. We disagreed. That's what we do at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. If we agreed, this place would be boring. We do not do that. I've just given you an example of what happened in the live show, and we'll continue to keep going. Nope, that's not true. That's not true at all. It was not genetics 50. It was not genetics 56 or 65. That was nuts, and it got nuts. We got more nuts on the message board. But anyways, again, just people get so obsessed with just coming on the boards and trying to destroy it. We're not going to allow it. We're not going to allow it. Ryan Willie, Evil Badger. If I was a betting man, I would take the over on Wisconsin's win total. Definitely take the over on Minnesota's. Absolutely correct. I don't know about Minnesota. We'll go through it right now, real quick. Thank you, Ryan, for making me think of this. The Gophers 4.5 win total. Ryan, I'm gonna have to check out Brosmere, the quarterback, the transfer quarterback, the number one FCS quarterback, New Hampshire. But I gotta watch him in spring practice and the spring football game. If he goes pear-shaped, the Gophers 4.5 money, that win total, that probably seems about correct. Because we don't have a backup quarterback with any experience. Hopefully we'll pick one up in the portal. But I agree with the Evil Badger. Let's look at this. I agree with Ryan Willie. This makes no sense to me. This is the win total of the Big Ten schools. Wisconsin 6.5. That makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I really don't get that number. That's the biggest one that pops out to me. Nebraska 7.5. That looks good. I don't get that Wisconsin one. And honestly, the UCLA one at 5.5, I'd probably go under. That Wisconsin one, that should, I don't know, I would hit that. Ryan Willie, I agree with you. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The SEC numbers. We talked about the win totals on an episode a couple days ago. Auburn 7.5. The Florida 5.5, I would go under on that one. Again, we're going to do our official over-under totals in a couple months from now, once we get more information. The big one here, West Virginia, 6.5. I would go over on West Virginia, 6.5 right now. That's too low. Cincinnati Bearcats, 5.5. I like Sorsby. I like that transfer quarterback, Cincinnati. Second year of Scatterfield. Bearcats, maybe I'd go over on that. Kansas State, Utah, I agree with those numbers. I agree with those. ACC. SMU, I'm going over. Louisville, I think I'm going over. Georgia Tech, I'm going over. California, I'm going under for right now. But again, I'm going to do my official projections, win totals for all the Power 4 schools. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments section what you agree with, where you think you should go over on, where you go under on. But yeah, Wisconsin. I don't get that win total. I don't understand that at all. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. Thank you once again for your generosity. D5 Terps, West Virginia over. Yep. Garrett Green, I mean, he's coming back. That great freshman running back they had last year. Averaged over 8 yards a carry. He's not going to do it this year, but, man, he's got skills. Some of that offensive line is coming back. Mini's better than 4.5. Well, they have been. Come on, we got to see a quarterback here. We got to see him in the spring. We got to see him in spring practice. I'm going to be going to him. I'm going to be going to the spring practices. I'm going to watch the spring football game, and I'm going to give you the running back, Darius Taylor, the offensive line, defensive line. We're set. The back seven on defense is not set. And the quarterback, big old wild card. I know people keep bringing up Texas A&M. They have no interest in joining the Big Ten. They have no interest at all. Not that we've heard of. We've always heard the opposite. Florida, I'm going under. Greg, you need a good ejection audio clip. Thank you for the suggestion. I just don't anticipate tossing people out. I mean, we've only done 4 of them. 3 of them was for spamming the board. We can't have that. I know a lot of people bring up Conundrum. He was spamming the board continuously. So I finally said, that's it. He was warned. So I'm sure he's a great guy and everything, but can't have the spamming. Can't have 10 comments about the same thing over and over again. Spam and Hawaiian barbecue. The wife and I, the little general and I, are trying to confirm, trying to nail down travel plans to go to Honolulu, Hawaii this summer. We have not nailed it down yet. $209 days. Joe Z, early peak member, 209 days until Florida State versus Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. I tell you, 2 years ago, Nebraska versus Northwestern. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Last year was Notre Dame and Navy. Whatever, 2 or 3 years ago, Northwestern, Nebraska, Dublin, Ireland, and Northwestern defeated Nebraska. And I'm not going to get into it too deep here because I don't really feel comfortable. But Nebraska's, they had a lot of drama behind the curtain, the coaching staff, in that week that they were in Dublin, Ireland. Let's just put it that way. There might have been a night where none of them could find their head coach. Let's just put it that way. I won't go on with it. But, and Nebraska played a terrible game, and their head coach was not, they kept him way too long. But now they got Matt Rule, and hopefully he can turn around the program. Okay, we're gonna log off here. We're gonna shut down our live show. Been on the air for a little bit over 2 hours, 2 hours and 13 minutes. I want to thank everybody who has participated. Phone calls, some great creative phone calls in the chat room. Great comments. Thank you for the donations. Again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you get yourself notified. Open up those notifications because we can come on live at any time. The college football world is changing drastically. More and more court cases. We haven't even been covering them because our show has been stacked every single time we come on live, so it's hard to get to all these stories. But we do the best we can. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And I'm so happy, I'm so appreciative that you all came on here once again tonight, Tuesday night, February 13th. Movement in the Holy Smokes Theater, North Carolina and Clemson are best buddies. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other.